End of Module 1 assessment. Compare using less than, greater than, or equal to. Using place value chart will help when comparing numbers. So it says that we are going to compare this expanded form number as well as the one written in standard form. So we'll write this first in the place value chart. We have 4 tens, 3 ones, and 5 tenths. Then our second number we have 42 and 6 tenths. So when we're looking at these, we see that the tens are the same. Then we go to the ones and see that the 3 is bigger than the 2. Therefore, we know that 43 and 5 tenths is greater than 42 and 6 tenths. So when we write that, we can say they're the same amount of tens, but then 43 and 5 tenths has more ones than 42 and 6 tenths. Number 2 says the following equation involves different quantities and operations yet produce the same answer. Use a place value chart and words to explain why that's true. So when it's talking about different quantities, 57 and 5,700 are different quantities. Then we have different operations. This one multiplies, this one divides. Then we have the products being the same. So it wants to know why that works out, and I want you to explain that. So the first thing we're going to do is write those numbers in on our chart. So we have 57, and then we multiply it by 10. That means we're moving over a spot, so we have 570. So it's 10 times as large. Then we go to the second number, we have 5,700. This time we're dividing, so that means we move back on our chart. So we have 570, so it is 1/10 as large. So when we write that down, we say 57 times 10 makes a number 10 times as large, while 5,700 divided by 10 makes the number 1/10 as large. Number 3 says use an area model to explain the product of 5 times 12 and 3/10. Write the product in standard form, word form, and expanded form. So using the area model, we have to make our box. We have 3 different digits, so we need 3 different columns. So the row will label with 5 because that's our first factor. Then we'll label each of the columns with the digits in the number. So the first one would be 1 tens. Then we have 2 ones. Then we have 3 tenths. So now we take that 1/10 times 5 and we get 5 tens. Then we take that 2 ones times 5 and we get 10 ones. Then we take the 3/10 times the 5 and we get 15 tenths. So now our next step is to add all that together. 5 plus 10 plus 1 and 5 tenths. And so that's going to equal 16 and 5 tenths. So this is our area model. Writing it in standard form is 16 and 5 tenths. Now to write it in word form, we just spell it using letters. So 16 and 5 tenths. Expanded form is when we break it out into the different place values. So we have one group of 10 plus 6 groups of 1 plus 5 groups of 1/10. Now our last problem is going to be a little bit more challenging, and it's a multi-step problem. So it says Brandon mixed 6 and 8,300 pounds of cashews with 3 and 57 pounds of pistachios. After filling up 6 bags that were the same size with mix, he had 3,500 pounds of nuts left. What was the weight of each bag? Use a tape diagram to show your calculation. So the first thing we need to do is look at the question. Our question says, what was the weight of each bag? Then we look at our clues. We have that the cashews weighed 6 and 83 hundredths pounds. The pistachios weighed 3 and 57 pounds. Then we have that that weight was divided into 6 bags, and it had a leftover of 35 hundredths. So it had a leftover of 35 hundredths. So now the next step is to draw a tape diagram. And we use the information we have from the question to label our tape diagram. So the first thing we need to find out is how much was in the bag. So we know that there was 6 and 83 hundredths, and we know that there was 3 and 5/7, but we don't know how much that was total. So this is a part plus another part to equal the whole. So we need to add those two numbers together. And when we add those two numbers together, we're going to get 10 and 40 hundredths. So now we know that we have the whole being 10 and 40 hundredths. But then we had the 6 bags, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then there was that leftover right here of the 35 hundredths of nuts. So that means we're just trying to figure out this part. So that means that this part that we have here needs to be taken away from our whole. So we're going to subtract that 35 hundredths out, and then we're going to have 10 and 5 hundredths. So now this is what we have left here, so we got to divide that by 6. So 6 cannot go into 1. 6 can go into 10 one time, so 1 times 6 is 6. We have 4 left over. We have to drop the 0. 6 times 6 is 36. So that would be our next one. Subtract that. We have, we drop that number and actually get 45. 6 goes into 45 7 times. So that's 42. Now we have that 3. Well, we're going to have to add a 0 so we can get this problem solved. So we have 5 times 6 equals 30. So now we're at 0. We put our decimal point. So the answer is that each bag contained 1 and 675 thousandths pounds. Happy studying. And